Hey everyone, so today hope to get this engine head back on, get the engine back together completely. So I didn't have this resurfaced. Gentleman looked at it, said it seemed pretty plain. One thing, if you can see, is this. We aren't sure that that's a crack or not. Now I think he dye tested it and so on. We're just not sure about it. He was afraid if it isn't a crack and we fixed it, he might distort due to the heat around the valves. So we didn't touch that. We'll see. He said the valves were actually in pretty clean overall. So I've got, that surface was cleaned up. This one I took some emery cloth to, and got a new head gasket here. We'll coat that in copper spray gasket, high heat, and I've got the bolt or the nuts there, 1 1/4 inch. I've got the lead washers, so we'll hopefully get this together here. And my hope is I got thinking about it, I hope I never see these pistons again in my life, because I'm not going to work this tractor hard. So yeah, just hopefully they'll be good, and maybe my sons or something will tear this apart someday if I even keep this tractor that long. So alright, here we go. Okay, so got the head on. Couple of things I should mention: when you put the gasket on, the flat side goes towards the block. I had to look that up myself. The nuts get torqued to 208 foot-pounds. So yeah, really got to crank on them. Do them in stages. I think I did in like 150, 175. Well, I got them I guess I kind of did them in 4 stages. I got them pretty tight, just with the regular cheater bar, or really just not a cheater bar, just a 1 foot wrench. And then I did 150, 175, and like 210 or so. So anyway, I'm missing the tap to rethread these, 3/4 inch fine tap. So in this mess, it's around here somewhere. So until I clean up a little bit more and find that, I'm going to put the manifold on. I don't know if you can see, these go through to the water jacket. Actually, they all do. So make sure to use some thread sealant on here. I've got new studs to put in. And then I don't know that it's original or not, but I got the brass nuts to put on top. Some say it helps if you ever have to get them off, that they're a different material. I don't know. So, okay. Okay, so there she sits. Yeah, I've got a high temp special coating inside there, high temp paint on the outside. This is the same manifold that, had this broken piece in here. I may just put some high temperature paint on that, so it doesn't get too rusted like before. I'm not sure if it's because it's this aftermarket gasket or not, but you can see the rest of the gasket with the copper coat on it. Yeah, moving on. I hope to find this tap so I can get the valve assembly on and go from there. Okay, so found my die, straightened out those threads, got the tappet assembly back on. Pretty straightforward. So these nuts go on. This upper thread is different from this thread. Got a lock washer here. I'm curious, I haven't found it out yet, so as far as I know, the A's and the B's are just tappets like this, If you guys happen to know why the outside ones have these cups and stuff, I would be curious as to the difference. So, I mean, even if I found out by the time I post this video or somewhere else, if one of you guys knows and puts it in the comments, then it's there for someone else. I adjusted the valves. So each of the valves, loosen this nut, and then you can adjust this. What you want is, see if you can see it, about 20 thousandths clearance here. You can get a feeler gauge, or a quick and dirty way is run this out tight and then back off 2 flats. So say this one was originally up top, so 1, 2. And all that does is come down to the math of the threads. This is a 3/8 inch 16 thread. So with that, you have 16 threads per inch. So each thread is a 1/16 of an inch, which is 0.0625. Then 2 flats is 1/3 of a turn. So 1/3 of that is 0.0208. So there you have it. Quick and dirty way of getting 20 thousandths there. So to my knowledge, I am ready to put the valve cover on. We'll check the head bolt torque later when it's warm, but they are torqued down now for that. So we'll get the valve cover on, and eventually here I need to get the fan shaft assembly on. So one thing before I put this valve cover on, I know when I was taking it apart, I didn't understand how the tappet assembly got oil, because it was different from the B per se. So when you look at the valve cover, you've got that line that comes over here from the governor assembly, and then that feeds into this piece, and you've got a hole there and a hole there that I assume the oil comes out. So I'm probably going to pour a little oil in there, make sure it comes out like it should. I did clean gunk out of here, but I don't think it's supposed to come out of there, but it was kind of nasty. So just wanted to point that out. Okay, so we got the valve cover on. Don't know if I mentioned there are some washers that go under here. And then also we got the fan shaft assembly on. So I must say I apologize that I didn't get a clip of this going on in the process steps. I'll have to talk through it. I had my father-in-law's help and didn't want to take up any more of his time. So one big thing, of course, is getting the timing right when you set this on. And what I mean by that is, come around over here, with the flywheel, left-hand impulse, this mark lined up with this mark, or in other words, left cylinder is at top dead center, then you should have, when this lands on here, this should be perfectly horizontal. I'm not quite sure if that's a tooth off or not. It's pretty darn close. So we will see later. You can adjust it a little bit with the magneto. And also very important. So what we did was you gotta put this on with the fan shroud around it. You can't get the fan shroud on here first or last. So we kind of slipped this over it and all set this in place. Got this kind of where it needed to be with the tabs sitting on here. And then we propped this up about an inch, and we connected the oil line in here, which, let's see if I can show you. I don't know that I can. There we go, that oil line right there. So with it up just a little bit, I was able to reach down in there with my hand, bring the nut up, start threading it, and then I was actually able to pry this up a little bit more, since at that point you're connected, you can put a little tension on it, take a wrench and tighten it tight. And then you've also got the oil shaft coupling. You see, we can see that right there in front. You can see that coming up or coming down. You got to get that right. How we got that, so there's a lot of things going on, was I got the gear kind of where it needed to be to have this horizontal, so it was sitting over there, and then I actually wiggled the flywheel, since it was connected to that gear, I knew it wouldn't mess it up, wiggled the flywheel so that oil coupler turned a little bit until it found itself, and we were able to sit it down on there. Then tighten everything up. So from here, I don't know that I'm going to take kind of individual clips because it's some simpler items, but we're got to get the upper water pipe on. We'll get the lower water pipe, the water pump, and then I got to bolt on the carburetor and the air cleaner, oil bath, and get the starter on. So all that's pretty straightforward bolt-on stuff, so probably just going to skip to that. Alright guys, so here it is all on. Trying to think of any more notes. Be honest with you, you'll see oil and water all around here. I just had it running. I got it running for the first time. I've got water leaks all over. I got a leak in there. The underside of this piece was pretty rough. I put some Permatex on it, but obviously not enough that it's got a little bit of a leak. Same thing for that piece up there. I got a fan chatter going on. Not sure why, if I need to tap this out or readjust the position of the fan shaft assembly. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. The starter on these prevents you from getting some of the bolts in, really on that far side. I should have put the rest in with the gasket, but I didn't, so it's got oil around here. Didn't want to start it first. I actually had to steal the magneto from my bee. Why I was suspicious of the magneto was when I wanted to put this on here, you know, with your slot horizontal, you get the magneto so it's kind of getting close to fire, and it's actually angled like this. Get it in the slot in the groove and rotate it up, and then as soon as it clicks, I think you want to take it back just a smidge and then tighten it down. Now this magneto does that. When you bring it up, it click. The magneto that came on this tractor, when I went to do that, it wouldn't do it, and I could just spin the magneto with my hand with the glove on, you know, make sure it doesn't shock you. And it took a certain speed for it to get the pulse, and I just think the pulse was too weak. Because yeah, as soon as I switched that over to that magneto, man, it took off. So yeah, so got some work to do. It's the weekend before Classic Green reunion, and I'm just not going to make it. I'm not going to rush. Life happens that I wasn't able to work on this last weekend very much. And the carburetor is all messed up on it. As I suspected when I got it, it only runs with choke on, so that's going to need a complete rebuild. I haven't got the brakes together yet, so that's next. Other than the brakes, I want to kind of clean up the fuel tank and mount all of that back on. I need to adjust the oil pressure. The gauge that I hooked up there was reading very low oil pressure. When I'm at Classic Green Reunion, I'm going to get a good set of gauges from Evergreen Restorations. Not the, I'll just be honest, that's an El Cheapo. Now granted, on my B, you know, it read the proper oil pressure, and it's not right now, so I'm assuming it needs adjusted. So yeah, we got water leaks. I don't really understand why. We got that new cork washer on the flywheel, and it's leaking oil back there, so I don't know what to do about that. Yeah, I guess that's all I really have to report at this point. So you can see my rigged up gas tank. It's an old lawnmower gas tank. Put a filter in line, and it's just dangling there, but I can hook it up to the carb. I was super naive and dumb in thinking that the leak that I saw when I first got this was in the gasket. I don't know why I thought that when the gasket is in here and the leak was coming from in there. I put a partial can of stop leak in it and it seemed like it worked. So yeah, I know I kind of skipped a lot in the video here, but everything is just bolting on. You know, gasket, cylinder, this cup cleaned out, filled with oil, got the fan shroud on, got your oil tubes on, as in this one, and this air breather tube here. Like I said, I may run it again, but I may have to take this back off and redo that gasket and this one up top here. So otherwise it sounded good when I just had it idling. Yeah, so it's got work. It's going to take me a little time, get some things worked on like the magneto and the carb. But hopefully get it all back together again in a little while. I will still be at Classic Green Reunion, but I decided I'm just not going to take anything. I don't really want to take my A. We're kind of making it a family getaway, and to then take a tractor and what have you for the day. It'll be kind of a pain. So looking forward to being there, though. Hopefully you guys, anyone watching, will be there, or if you're watching this later, we're there. And yeah, so I'll finish this video with a clip of it running, just a few seconds. But like I said, you might hear a little fan chatter going on in it. But we'll go from there. So give me a thumbs up. Let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you learned something. Maybe not in this video so much, it's just simple assembly, but have a good day.